This morning, the lesson is getting older is actually a gift from God. It's a gift from God. You know, we talk about the golden years, and Owen and I have talked about this many times, the golden years. I'm not sure what happened, Owen, but I missed them. My hands hurt, my shoulders hurt, my back hurts, my knees hurt, my feet hurt. I'm not sure what happened to the golden years. I think the golden years, if you ask me, are the years in which the Jaspers are now facing with all the children at home. You can go to bed at night, and you know the children are all safe and snug in their beds, and you can lay your head down peacefully and go to sleep, knowing everybody's safe and secure. That's the golden years, I feel. But you know, beside the fact of us talking about the golden years, sometimes we also struggle with emotions in our later years. Maybe depression. Maybe we become depressed. Maybe we become lonely. Maybe we ask ourselves, what's my purpose? Why am I here? My mother used to tell me, she says, all my friends have gone. I don't know why I'm even here. And that's true. Sometimes we struggle with that. Why am I still here? And I think the Bible sort of points that out a little bit in Psalms 92, 12 through 15. Righteousness will flourish like the palm trees. They will grow like the cedars of Lebanon. Planted in the house of the Lord, they will flourish in the courts of our God. And they will still bear fruit in old age. They will stay green. They will stay fresh and green, proclaiming the Lord is righteous, is upright. He is my rock, and there is no wickedness in him. So we see that God says in the old age, we'll flourish. Not only will we flourish, but we will proclaim the Lord is upright and is righteous. I'd like to read this little poem that I found. How do I know that my youth has been spent? Because my get up and go has got up and went. But in spite of that, I'm able to grin when I think of where my get up and go has been. Old age is golden. I have heard it said, but sometimes I wonder as I go to bed. My ears in a drawer, my teeth in a cup, my eyes on the table until I wake up. Ere sleep dims my eyes, so I say to myself, is there anything else that I should lay on the shelf? But I'm happy to see, as I close the door, my friends are the same as in the days of ore. When I was young, my slippers were red. I could kick my heels above my head. When I grew older, my slippers were blue. But still, I could dance the whole night through. Now that I'm old, my slippers are black. I walk to the corner and puff my way back. The reason I know that my youth has been spent, my get up and go has got up and went. But I really don't mind when I think with a grin of all the places my get up has been. Since I have retired from life's competition, I busy myself with complete repetition. I get up every morning, dust off my wit, pick up the paper and read the obits. If my name's missing, I know I'm not dead. So I go get a big breakfast and go back to bed. My eyes in a cup, my false teeth are fine. But one thing I know, I sure miss my mind. You know, our mind is a miraculous thing, isn't it? God has created us with a mind that we can function every day. Sometimes when we get older, our mind fails us just a little bit. But most of the time, we can recall things of old. I'll share this one thing with you. When I was younger, and I had graduated high school, I had a full-time job. I was working. And at that time, my mother would go to Florida for a month or so and visit her friend. And then she would go to my sister's and visit for another month. She was gone for a couple of months. And so every time when she would come back, I had bought something else, something new, to me anyway. Most of the time it was at least a coonhound at that time, and I'd buy a new dog. At one time when she came home, I had 4 dogs and a litter of 13 pups out back of the garage. So I had a few dogs. One time when she came home, I had bought a new car, 72 Camaro. Boy, I thought I was sharp then. One time I had bought a new pickup truck. It was a Ford. In 75, I believe, I bought a new Ford. Brand new Ford pickup down at Graham Chevrolet. $2,800. Fords were cheap. They weren't much then and not a whole lot now. Then one time, I bought a brand new not a brand new motorcycle, but a motorcycle, an 850 Commando Norton. Man, I thought I was hot then. Since we have a state highway patrolman, I won't get too carried away with what all I did on that motorcycle.
They can't go back on you, Joe.
They can't go back? Okay, thank you. But let me tell you, I did some stupid things. And if my kids ever wanted to have a motorcycle, I would have slapped them. But they never even asked, so I was thankful. One time I got on that motorcycle, between Raymond and Broadway, there's a hump, a knoll, right at Gene Cunningham's driveway. And I often thought if I could go so fast over that knoll that I could probably pop a wheelie going down the road. You can. At 85 miles an hour, if you jerk your handlebars, it'll come up. Well, I didn't even think about the motorcycle coming up, but I tried. And when that motorcycle come up, 10 million things went through my mind. What in the world am I going to do now? But I got it back down and got home okay. But Mom never heard that story. So what am I to do? What is my responsibility as an older individual in the church? Why am I here? What am I going to do? What should I do? First of all, we need to work for the Lord and be an example. Be an example. In Titus 2, 3 through 5, the older women likewise, that they be reverent in behavior, not slanderous, not given to much wine, teachers of good things, that they admonish the young women to love their husband, to love their children, to be discreet, chaste, homemakers, of good and obedient to their own husbands, that the work of God may not be blasphemed. Excuse me. So we see here that we're to work for the Lord. This is basically talking about people with children possibly that are at that age in life, but they're still to teach and to admonish their children. And it would be the same with our grandchildren, that's what we should do. Also in Psalms 71, 17 through 18, since my youth, God, you have taught me. And to this day, I declare your marvelous deeds. Even when I am old and gray, do not forsake me, my God, till I declare your power to the next generation, your mighty acts to all who are to come. So we see here the idea the psalmist is talking about declaring to the next generation. That's definitely one of our responsibilities as those who are somewhat older, to teach the next generation. Then in Ephesians 6, 1 through 4, children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor your father and your mother, which is the first commandment with promise, so that it may be well with you and that you may enjoy a long life on earth. Father, do not provoke your children. Instead, bring them up in the training and the instruction of the Lord. So we see here once again the idea of parents training their children and instructing them in the ways of the Lord. In Job 12:12, it is not wisdom found among the aged? Does not long life bring understanding? You know, the older we get, hopefully the more we learn, hopefully the wiser we become, hopefully the more understanding that we have, not only in the ways of the world, but in the ways of the Lord, especially in the ways of the Lord, so that we can instruct our children and our grandchildren as we bring them up. In Proverbs 23:22, listen to your father, who gave you life, and do not despise your mother when she is old. I don't know why I talked about the mother being older here, but the idea of being older, that we can instruct those of our family, those of our children. The next thing that we want to notice, so first of all, going back, we notice that our responsibility is to train those of the younger generation especially. And I think that a lot of that is being the example that we need to be to them, showing them. You know, a lot of times, we can get out the Bible and pound them on the head, but that's not going to do them any good, is it? Unless we live it in front of them, to them, for them. So we have to be that right kind of example for our younger generation and for those that are around us. The next thing we want to notice that the older people, the older folks, are due honor and respect. In Exodus 20:12, honor your father and your mother, so that you may live long in the land of the Lord your God has given you. You know, I've often wondered about this idea. You know, it talks about here honoring your father and your mother. And my folks were the dearest thing in the world to me. But how does that correspond with living long on this earth? You know, if my mother would have told me, son, don't go out in the middle of the road and pull a wheelie going 85 miles an hour on a motorcycle, because you may end up in a dirt grave, I probably wouldn't have paid a lot of attention to her, because I did it anyway. But the idea that our parents will hopefully instruct us not to do stupid stuff like that. And that will help us to live longer on this earth. I think that's the idea that comes to my mind. Because our children, we train our children not to do ridiculous things, so that they won't end up on the other side. In Leviticus 19:32, stand up in the presence of the aged, show your respect for your elderly, and fear God, fear your Lord, your God. I am the Lord. Once again, those of the elderly are due our respect and our honor, to honor them. In Matthew 19:19, honor your father and your mother, and to love your neighbor as yourself. So we are to honor our father and our mother. In Ephesians 6:1-4, children, obey your parents. We've read this. But I want to notice this once again here. In verse 2, it says, once again, honor your father and your mother, which is the first commandment with promise. And here's the promise once again, so that you may live, that you may be well, and you may enjoy a long life on earth. So it's the idea that we need to respect our elders. The Bible teaches it. Our parents taught this over and over. You know, I had the occasion to take my son and two other children with me to Fort Worth, Texas. They were chosen by the Ohio Quarter Horse Congress to go down to the World Show in Fort Worth, Texas, and judge horses in the contest that they had in Fort Worth. This one young man, John Christian Carl, the ag teacher's son, if he said, yes, sir, one time to me, he said it 1,000 times. I got so sorry hearing yes, sir, that many times, I about got sick myself. Every word out of his mouth was yes, sir, yes, sir. But he had been taught by his parents to respect his elders. That young man did. The next thing we want to notice about those who are somewhat older, that God cares for you. In Isaiah 46:4, even to your old age, I am he, and even to gray hair, I will carry you. I have made you. I will bear you. Even I will carry and I will deliver you. God cares for you. God cares for you. He will take care of you. He will help you. We're going to back up here a minute. I put a note down there that says, I'm fine, and then I passed it up. I'm not real fine. This poem says, there is nothing whatever a matter with me. I'm just as healthy as I can be. I have arthritis in both knees, and when I walk with a wheeze. My pulse is weak, my blood is thin, and I'm awful well for the shape I'm in. Arch supports I have in my feet, or I wouldn't be able to walk to the street. Sleep is denied me every night, and every morning I'm a pitiful sight. My memory's failing, my head's in a spin. I'm practically living on aspirin. But I'm awful well for the shape I'm in. I think my liver is out of whack. I've got a pain way down in my back. I'm overweight and I can't get thin, but I'm awful good for the shape I'm in. The moral of this is, as this tale unfolds, that for you and me that are getting old, it's better to say I'm fine with a grin than to tell folks the shape you're in. We've noticed some verses that talk about gray hair. So what is the idea of the gray hair? Well, Proverbs tells us in 16:31, Gray hair is a crown of splendor. It is an attendant in the way of the righteous. Gray hair is attributed to us as a crown of glory. Now, to the two gentlemen in the back who have none, along with me, I'm not sure what happened to the gray hair. I got a little here. But the gray hair is our it's our glory to us that are older. So as you're getting older, don't try to dye it. My sister has black hair. That's a lie. She doesn't have black hair. That black comes out of a bottle. My mother had the whitest head of hair you ever saw, and she does too. In Proverbs 17:6, children's children are a crown to the age. In other words, the grandchildren are a crown to the aged, and the parents are the pride of their children. Your grandchildren are your crowning glory. These are Sarah and I's crown. In conclusion, Jesus was completely devoted to God's purpose. He put everything, his own wishes and his feelings aside in order to fulfill God's plan of redemption. He gave his own life to purchase ours. That's why we're here this morning. That's why we worship him. Because he gave his life for you and I. Have you accepted Christ as your Savior this morning? Are you here and you've not yet accepted Jesus Christ? Jesus wants you to be his children. He wants you to follow him, as he has died for not just those who choose to accept him, but for everyone. If you're here this morning and you need Christ in any way, won't you stand? We stand and sing.